Hello. Welcome to Whoever Holds the Stone, and this is the stone. So I'm not going to start the show. We're going to have Richard start off, but I just want to welcome you. This is our first show. We're here with Richard and Celeste Lawson, and of course my son Tom on drums. And I'm very pleased to be doing this. We're going to have a conversation that's not going to be crazy. So I'm going to hand this to Richard, and he's going to start the show. You were going to start with something.
I was listening to a professor who wrote a book about how choice has changed over the decades.
Yes.
Now, she said in the 1800s, the way a man got to meet a woman, because there were all these rules in society, was to go to a ballroom dance. And you finally get a chance to meet a woman. And there were even rules in the ballroom, such as a man could go up to a woman, but a woman could not go up to a man.
That's correct.
And the man could say, would you put me on your card for dance number 4 or whatever, which one it was. And then she would write it down, okay? And then somebody else would come by and ask her, and so she got her dance card filled up. She got to choose when the first song came up. What are the options? Okay, I'll go with number 3 here. Sir, I would select you to be with me on this dance. He not only got to dance with her, he was touching her, she was touching him. They got to talk during the dance.
Yes.
Okay? At which point, at the end of the night, she could say to that person, sir, if you wished, it would be fine with me if you called on me in the future. See? But then she said something in her lecture that I thought was very revealing. She said, what's the equivalent of the dance card in 2025?
We don't have one.
No, we don't. We don't. Well, we're not holding this down.
There you go.
We don't have one, but people are meeting each other online, and I mean, you do get to see what the person looks like, and you do get to read a little bit about what they're willing to tell you they're like. But there's no social setting where you're meeting people except at bars. I mean, we met people at bars when we were younger, but there was nothing like this.
No. Well, you had dance parties, you had
Right.
house parties, you had get-togethers. But even during the Edwardian period and the Victorian period, that type of and during the sort of Gilded Age period, which is very popular now, a couple things, women were able to communicate without assertion, and that was the language of fans. And so,
Yeah.
and it was a craft. So the way you held your fan, the way you opened it, the way you showed it, the way you did with it, that was conversation. So something could say, I'm open to approach. I'm not open to approach. No, I don't want to dance with you. Oh, I'd love to dance with you. My family doesn't like your family. I mean, and you could go online. I mean, because it's a very complicated thing. Because if you're supposed to hold it in your right hand, it means one thing. You hold it in your left hand, it means something else. If it's fully open facing one way, it will be this. If it's halfway open, turn the other way, it means something else. I mean, it is a specific sign language, fan language. So that contributed to that. And in the calling card process, which lasted for some time, in conveying, I think we've all heard about this, is the language of flowers. So depending on what the combination of flowers was in your bouquet is conveying your message. I'm sending you happiness. I'm sending you joy. I hope you get run over by a horse and cart. You know. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there are very subtle, very, very subtle ways of communicating during those eras because of the high social standards, and women, not having permission to be aggressive at all, being demure. And I gotta say, because the women knew that marrying well was their key to good fortune, they could be very manipulative and contriving. And this is one of the reasons I'm sure some of these stories that are so popular now reveal that women were not pushovers. They operated within a very restrictive system, and they were able to achieve things that we probably didn't think women could achieve. But because they were strategic in many ways, things could work out well or not. I mean,
Yeah. So the power behind the throne, basically.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of women who did, especially in that show, the Gilded Age.
Mm-hmm.
If you've watched it at all, the women call the shots, even though the men are running the world.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I picked up on Libby. I listen to books on Libby all the time. And I picked up a book by E.M. Forrester, and I never read anything by this person before. And I picked it up because it's a room with a view, which reminded me of a room of one's own.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'm going to read this book. It sounds, the beginning of the book was a little dry. It was a little dry, and I was thinking I'm not going to finish it.
Didn't they make a movie out of this?
I believe they did. And
Yeah.
this guy, and this is not the first book I've read from that period of time, which is late 1800s, early 1900s, where they show a strong woman, not a strong, but they show sympathy. The male authors are showing sympathy for the women. Now, maybe it was because the women were reading all the fiction.
Very possible.
But this is kind of a long piece, but this woman, Lucy, who was engaged to be married to a rich guy with status. This is a British book. His name was Cecil. And she agreed to marry him, it was maybe the third or fourth time he asked her. And she finally said yes. So after becoming engaged to him, she changed her mind. And she told him that she could not be his wife. So basically, I'm going to try to get through this all. He was bewildered. He had nothing to say. He wasn't even angry, but stood with a glass of whiskey between his hands, trying to think what led her to such a conclusion. "I'm very sorry about it," she said. "I have carefully thought things over. We're too different. I must ask you to please release me and try to forget that you ever knew such a foolish girl." "I don't understand. You aren't like yourself. You're tired, Lucy." "Tired?" she retorted, kindling at once. "That is exactly like you. You always think women don't mean what they say." But to Cecil now, he was about to lose her. She seemed each moment more desirable. He looked at her instead of through her for the first time since they were engaged. From a Leonardo, she had become a living woman, with the mysteries and forces of her own, with qualities that even eluded art. His brain recovered from the shock, and in a burst of genuine devotion, he cried, "But I love you, and I thought you loved me." I did not, she said. "I thought I did at first. I'm sorry, and ought to have refused you the last time, too." "You don't love me, evidently. I dare say you are right not to, but it would hurt a little less if I knew why." "Because," a phrase came to her and she accepted it, "you're the sort who can't know anyone intimately." A horrified look came into his eyes. "I don't mean exactly that. When we were only acquaintances, you let me be myself. But now you're always protecting me." Her voice swelled. I won't be protected. I will choose for myself what is ladylike and right. To shield me is an insult. Can't I be trusted to face the truth? But must I get it secondhand through you? A woman's place. You despise my mother. I know you do, because she's conventional and bothers over puddings. But oh goodness, she rose to her feet. Conventional? Cecil, you're that. For you may understand beautiful things, but you don't know how to use them. And you wrap yourself up in art and music and books, and would try to wrap me up. I won't be stifled, not by the most glorious music, for people are more glorious, and you hide them from me. That's why I break off the engagement. You were all right as long as you kept to things, but when you came to people, she stopped. There was a pause, then Cecil said with great emotion, "It's true. True, every word of it. It's a revelation. It is, anyhow, those are my reasons for not being your wife." He repeated, the sort that can know no one intimately. It's true. I fell to pieces the very first day we were engaged. I behaved like a cad to Bibi and your mother. You are even greater than I thought. She withdrew a step. I'm not going to worry you. You are far too good to me. I shall never forget your insight, and dear, I only blame you for this. You might have warned me in the early stages, before you felt you wouldn't marry me. So to given me a chance to improve. I have never known you till this evening. I have just used you as a peg in my silly notion of what a woman should be. But this evening you are a different person, new thoughts, even a new voice. So my question is, if men could see this 125 years ago, why are we still in the predicament we are now, where we're still not being looked at as individuals and people? You know?
Oh. It's still a societal structural thing. I mean, we still have a glass ceiling. Mm. We still have women making 77 cents on the dollar. Mm-hmm. When you talk about things that women want in relationships, the first thing they say is they want to feel safe. That's a protection factor. And so we prepare men for that. Mm-hmm. Right? We don't say, listen, if your woman wants to go do the tractor and I'll let her go. Because then there's a sense of diminishment on the man's part because he's not fulfilling a role that he has been taught. This is what you must do in order to fulfill your role. And there are some women who really do want to be protected at that level. They want to be cared for. Mm. They don't. At the Tops on Niagara Street, young, beautiful girl at the cash register talking to a friend of hers, holding up the line. And she was saying she was tired of working and she didn't want to go to work. And her line was, I'm supposed to be at home eating bonbons. This is not, this is what she said. She had to be 20, 21, 22 at the best.
Who taught her that?
She's watching something. She's hearing something. But, I mean, this is, it wasn't 2025. It was 2024. But it stuck with me that you have this young woman and she's feeling that. So I think in some respects it depends on the life you're living. If you're living an easy life that has been sheltered, that has been protected, and has been grounded in a level of security, you do want some freedom. You want to, because you really may not even know who you are, but you want to explain because you've been taught how to be an asset, right?
It's true.
And how you help make a home a home, because that's your job. Your job is to be.
Still.
Yeah, if you're not gonna, if you are not in a relationship where the man is interested in being equal, to a degree, mm-hmm. It's still gonna be that way, because we don't know the history of how his manhood evolved, and we don't know the road to the woman's journey of self-actualization. The big thing I think that has changed is that women are willing to have children on their own without a formal partner.
Mm-hmm.
They're willing to have children on their own without even knowing who the partner is. And that's real different because who a kid belonged to in European and Western cultures in particular was like big. That's how you got to be king, okay? Your legacy had to, this is the child, my child. Whereas in some other countries, I'll think about some African nations, they don't.
They share the kids.
Yeah, and they don't understand that. I remember there were some African artists that were here, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, and they heard that reference about illegitimate and a bastard, and they were like, what is that? And I said, well, that's when a child is born outside of a formal relationship. They looked at me like I was green. Like, this is the child's mother, this is the child's father. It's legitimate. That concept of illegitimate was nowhere in that brain, that sphere of their understanding. So that's a cultural thing, and I doubt. Listen, underdeveloped, and I say European and Western because we've had other countries who've had women as leaders that we wouldn't suspect. Indira Gandhi,
Right.
Evita, the chancellor, the woman who was this past president of the EU and Germany, she was the Iron Maiden, Margaret Thatcher.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had women rise to power in cultures that weren't so steeped in hypocrisy. Like our culture here, so we're up over our heads, quicksand swamp in hypocrisy, right? So, I mean, look at it right now, the way things are going.
Let me give this over to. I'm curious, Richard, as a man, as our token man, when you hear about these roles and how people feel enmeshed in these roles, I know that you're a different type of person. How do you just explain how, with this being known, with writers being able to write about women who were becoming self-actualized 125 years ago, why are some women still wanting that traditional role, or however you want to respond to this whole idea that we're talking about here?
Well, there was an interesting article in the New York Times, and it starts out by saying, 4 years ago, for the first time in history, there are more female college graduates than men college graduates. And then over the past 4 years, the survey would always be, okay, now that you've graduated, do you want another college graduate to be your husband or not? And this year, when they conducted the survey, they were surprised that a majority of the women would say, I have no problem with getting a man who maybe just has a high school education. And I thought, okay, so is this going to have an impact on the man's mind? If the wife is making 5 times more than him, like, does he have to readjust? If he's in one of those, they call it marrying down.
Well,
that's
Well, I think we're being civil. We don't really need to make sure we're holding that stone when we're talking, because I think, both of us have things to say about that. There's nothing. First of all, a plumber might make way more than a manager, like a mid manager, in a corporation who needed to have a bachelor's degree in order to get that job. Mm-hmm. If the guy, it's not so much for me when I think about education, how many facts you know. It's widening of your horizons. Narrow people tend to think that only their way of life is the right way of life. If you can find somebody who's a plumber or a mechanic who has traveled a little bit and knows that, that there's a big world out there that's not scary, I don't see any issue with that kind of relationship. As a matter of fact, when I lived in New York, there were women who were looking for people who were construction people to be, and these were women that had at least a bachelor's degree. So the mentality is, but does it affect the way a man sees his relationship if his wife is educated and he's not?
I think it depends on the courtesies they extend each other. If she loves this guy because he has these characteristics that are not affiliated with a formal education, she's looking for, a love relationship that's helpful and allows her to grow and enjoy life. You can be a very educated person. We know some of them who are very narrow, prejudicial, classes, ages. I mean, the isms could go on.
Yeah.
All right. And so they're sharp theoretically. They have Ivy League educations or just general education. I look at education, and that, by the way, is dropping. I think I heard on the news 1 or 2 days ago that college enrollment is dropping, and people are enrolling in trades.
Thank God.
They want
we need some people.
occupations.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I think character, and if you read, if you experiment with things, if you are open to trying things, I think that's fine. First of all, you don't have to compete. I think women who are not looking for a biologist where they're both going to have a race to the Pulitzer or something like that. Who, you want a ground that's equal in terms of compassion and compatibility. College may not be for everybody. And for those, but we've been taught to believe, because we had a society at one point where you must have it. And in some respects now, certain jobs, because of, I don't know, a lot of different reasons, you have to go in from a point of specialty, because they're looking for specialists. The generalist is kind of falling by the wayside. That's really sort of my generation.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a liberal arts degree. A lot of previous executives were CEOs that had liberal arts backgrounds or poli-sci backgrounds, history backgrounds.
They knew how to think.
Yeah, critical thinking was but now everything is a data management specialty, science in some kind of way.
Well, guess what? There are the jobs for people who are just coming out of high school now, if they're not going into a trade, because the trades, we really need people to do that stuff. Those jobs, today, just as an example, I drove downtown. I had to take my clients to the Social Security Department. I was at a parking lot, no person.
Right.
Not one person there. I had to download an app to my phone.
Yep.
I had to tell it what my account information was, and tell it what my car, the license plate number was. And there's not even a piece of paper to put in my car.
No.
They have a computer system that checks all the license plate numbers.
Yep.
Not one person. All those parking lots downtown now have no people.
Yep.
We went into the Social Security Department, and there's a computer there to check in.
Yep.
There's no person there that says, "May I help you? How can I direct you?" There's 2 security guards who don't answer any questions. If you don't know how to use that computer, you're not getting in there.
Right.
So we put our information in the computer, we sat down, and then we were seen by someone but they called us by a number that we were given with the computer. And then he gave us another number that we had to wait for to get into another office to take care of business. Those people in those offices, yes, they're human beings, and maybe they'll be able to be replaced someday too. But I don't see how McDonald's.
Mm.
You go into McDonald's now, and there's a kiosk, and you put your information in on a kiosk.
Yeah.
You don't even order from the person anymore. You can still, but that's not going to be for long.
No. And I guess, younger people, because they've grown up in this kind of technology. I see technology is used as a, kid sitter now, which is
Yeah.
a little bit too much for me personally. When I see a 2-year-old, the mother's busy, so she just hands him or her a little thing, and the kid is manipulating.
Mm-hmm. A phone. You hand them your phone, and they.
Yeah. But neuroscientists will say screens trick you. They trick your brain, not you. They trick your brain. So already you're impacting the development of your brain, right? But I'd like to think that we're trying to roll some of this back, because all the conversations now, the couple books that are coming out about disconnecting from your social media, Let's Get Social. Younger people are trying to become more engaged, because it's a scary and unsafe and lonely thing to be having your personal life limited to technology. And
a lot of mental health problems surrounding.
Yes. And to have a job that's going to change, because certain things, if I have to have surgery, and that's me, and if I'm 19, I might feel differently if I never needed it. I ain't wanting a robot to do it. I don't. I'm the person.
How about a robot assisted? A doctor with a robot assisting.
If the doctor says, "Give me scalpel number 2," zzz, I'm okay with that. If the doctor says, "Oh, I need to cauterize this," and here comes the robot, no. Okay, you can hand him a scalpel or hand her a scalpel.
Oh, so more acting as an assistant more than doing the surgery.
No, I don't want to. No. So,
I don't know. I mean, there's cars driving themselves in California now.
Yeah, they are. I'm not getting in one. You know why? Because things can go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you get buffering on your TV, right? That means
What happens if the car buffers while you're in it?
right. I mean, it's an overstatement, and people who are aggressively pursuing the advancement of technology, it's like any other thing. They don't want to acknowledge, or they pretend as if the flaws are not that significant. But when you have to ground, 137 airplanes because there's a glitch, that's a problem.
I agree with that.
Right? And there's other kinds of things that happen. Your bank goes down. Things get reprocessed. So computers are as efficient as the maker can make them, but they're not perfect. And certain things can, a power surge. We can't do anything about that.
There goes your gallbladder.
But it's any given thing.
Yeah.
So I mean those are big control mechanisms. So I can see where at one point every kid went to college wanted to be a gamer, right? Everybody was going to be a gamer. They got 1 million games, and now they have got Game Olympics. I mean, somebody can make $1 million by being a game champion, but there's still rarefied air.
It's like being a rock star. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You might be able to make some money as a session musician, but being a rock star and a session musician. I had when I was a job coach, I had a kid who had Asperger's, really smart kid.
Yeah.
He He wanted to be a professional gamer. And, oh, excuse me. I told him I couldn't help him be a professional gamer. That was not part of my. And I remember one time he said to me, I said, "Do you really want to work?" I said, or is this your mom telling me to come here and to help you get a job? Because, I don't want you, because he was getting disability, because he had Asperger's. And I said, because, there's a thing to working. It makes you feel good when you do a good job and you feel like you've done something. And if you want that feeling, he says, I get that from games. I said, so he said, well, let me ask you a question. He turned it around at me. He said, if I told you that you could have X amount of dollars without doing anything, would you quit your job? And I said, I have to think about that.
Yeah.
Because, I was getting close to retirement anyway, but it,
It might depend on where you are in life.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's like some people, they had this show, I don't know if it still comes on or not, but it's called How the Lottery Changed My Life. And it was a lot of people in that show who won quite a bit. They did not quit their jobs. Some did. Lots, of them did things for their families. But by and large, you need to have purpose. Now, if you're reaching retirement age and you've been working a long time,
yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, because you've had this investment and you have an opportunity to do other things.
Right.
It's not as if you're just gonna be like the Tops girl and eat bonbons. Sit down.
Richard, so you are basically retired, right?
Yeah.
And you do a lot more than, but you still do
Yeah, I'm
some
so semi-retired.
semi-retired. So why do you keep that part of your life going?
That's a good question. I think Celeste put her finger on it. That you need to have a certain number of things in your life that give your life purpose, and that's one of them.
So what you're basically doing is helping people. It's a very altruistic kind of a job that you have. I mean, even though it's paperwork related, you're not crossing them across the street, but you're helping. And I think that's why I took the job that I took. I feel like I'm helping people, and it feels good to have them, to help them over a hurdle, So I think we all kind of work for different reasons, but that was always, that's the best part of the work for me.
I told Paula about this case that a law firm sent in to me the other day. Our client was hit from behind by another motor vehicle, and they backed up and drove off,
Yeah.
thinking that's the wisest course of action. So obviously the person who was hit, their back was bothering them. They had to go to the hospital, but the police did come because there's a physical injury. On the ground, the license plate came off. So so the law firm said, if you just have a plate, can you give us the name of the person who owns the car and their insurance company? I said, yes, I can. I can find that out for you.
Yes, yes.
And furthermore, it'll be a pleasure to do that.
Right? Yeah, somebody trying to escape your consequence and not taking responsibility, thinking that, in other words, their situation was just, not that hot. That's karma working for you.
I know, I thought the same thing. I thought that's very satisfying.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying. It's like, did you make a list for the show? Because since this is a different show, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I did. And I wanted to talk about the Jim Acosta story that I was mentioning to you in one of our messages together.
Okay.
So Jim Acosta worked for CNN, and then he got the word, along with everybody else one day, back off on negative stories about Trump. And he said, I'm not going to work in this kind of situation. So he was consulting with his colleagues that were other news presenters, and they said, instead of quitting your job and going to another network where it could happen again, get your own YouTube channel,
Yes.
and you'll have complete freedom.
Yes.
So he did. And he loves it.
Yes.
And he gets to do things that he would never do on CNN.
Yes.
He swears a lot
Yeah.
Yeah.
when he's pissed off at something that the administration does. And he's willing to take chances and do things that no one has ever done before. So, conservative media really lambasted him for the following experiment. He contacted the parents of the Parkland shooting,
Ooh.
somebody
Oh,
who got
wow.
killed.
Yes.
And he said, nothing can bring your son back. And you've probably been interviewed hundreds of times. I have an idea. What if I had AI comb through all your son's social media and all the things that you have on them? We created an AI avatar, and I interviewed the avatar. And I asked the avatar, how would you change things going forward?
Wow.
I love
Would
it.
you like to see the clip?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Whenever you're ready, Tom.
Joaquin, it's Jim Acosta. I was wondering if you could tell me what happened to you.
I appreciate your curiosity. I was taken from this world too soon due to gun violence while at school. It's important to talk about these issues so we can create a safer future for everyone. What would you like to know more about?
Joaquin, I would like to know what your solution would be for gun violence.
Great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard.
Thank you for having us in your show.
Of course.
I always say thank you for having me. But today is a special day. Joaquin should have been turning 25 years old. He won't. But we thought that it will create some more impact, kind of things that we have been doing if we bring this AI Joaquin to life.
So the question then is, did he cross a line with this little experiment?
Not if
No.
not if you got the parents' permission.
Yeah.
That they're the next
That was
of
the
kin.
parent at the end
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
his
Yes.
blessing.
Yes.
So, but oddly enough, conservative media sees it differently.
Of course they do.
That's their job. Their job is to see things differently that they can't control. Conservatives at this point, well, and not even all of them, because there's some AI masterminds behind this, which we can maybe talk about later or another time. But there's an old saying. I don't know if it's old, if it's Rumi or somebody old, but it said, there are those who would let their city burn to the ground so they can rule over the ashes.
That sounds like something from an old Roman philosopher.
And
Yeah.
and I feel like this is what this is, right?
Yeah, that's a very profound thought. I think that getting making this guy. I mean, he was human, but
Yes.
bringing him back to talk about what happened and it's just based on everything that he had put on social media, right?
Yeah.
So they're not putting any words in his mouth.
No.
So what did the conservative places say about it?
They said that you should show respect for the dead and not try to resurrect them in a ghoulish way for mass entertainment.
Yeah, that's party line.
Yeah, that's just because it makes them look bad. If it
Right.
made them look good, they would be all for it.
Right. And they can't, there's
Yeah.
no counterpoint to that because it's their technology that they're promoting.
Yeah.
That's flashing back at them. I think it's brilliant. And that's one of the few, because I have my own issues with AI and chat.
Yeah.
There's places for it. And I think this is a fascinating way. And I tell you, they shouldn't be unhappy because they didn't say anything beyond the propaganda that some of the conservatives are trying to push, like it's a mental health issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have a mental health epidemic in this country,
Yes.
and part of it is this that we're socializing on a computer now instead of face to face, and people are no longer people to us because you can say anything you want to a stranger online, and you're a stranger and they don't know who you are, and you can be brutal. There has to be a point where you use tact and diplomacy when you're talking to other human beings. Think of all these people that get all this negative feedback, and they take it to heart.
Well, and then when you train people to kill as a joyful pastime, car theft, auto, mortal combat.
Oh,
I mean, these are people they kill and they get back up and they kill them 2 or 3 times. Well, there's an instinct there, which, the neuroscientists are saying the technology is impacting your brain in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't understand. You shoot these people, they don't get up.
Yeah.
I wrote
I wrote a poem one time about Americans not having the capacity, the mental capacity for war, because every time we see somebody get shot, they show up the next night on a talk show.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the mixed message, and I think that's the difference, I think, between negative and positive, right? Our situation that we're in. The positive thing is that if enough people take control of what they can actually control and not surrender that control, that we could shift some of this. But people have to be willing to go out on a limb. The dark side, of course, is that nobody does, and everybody ends up on the back of a truck going to a field, right, to do yard work or whatever. So, maybe seizing the opportunity to say, wait a minute, I can control this. Like in our house, car theft, auto, or whatever it is, auto, car theft, motor car, that's not allowed. But technology is. So, I got a kid who's involved in, he loves cars, every kind of car. So he does this racing thing. We got this PR5 here. We do that. We do football. We do baseball. Things like that.
There's ways of using technology that aren't violent.
Yeah, so we don't kill people, and and if he has a friend that wants to say no. So you have to be willing to be in depth with it, and that's very old school, because I think younger parents, because some of the younger fathers and brothers,
they were all doing it too.
They're playing the game, right?
Oh.
So the Washington Post is now owned by Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
It's gotten a lot more conservative.
I didn't know that.
Here's what.
Well, that's what they're going to do, right? I'm going to say this, because it happened some years ago. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to email it to you and you if I still have it.
Okay.
Because of my job many moons ago,
Mm-hmm.
I was on the mailing list for all the political parties, including the Conservative and Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And when Palladino, I guess, was running for something, governor or something, he was running.
I don't remember what exactly.
Had a big fancy fundraiser out somewhere in Williamsville, Gettsville. And there was an agenda. Well, I'm sure all these people don't realize I'm on their mailing list, right? So I was getting a lot of crazy stuff. I was like, holy moly. And I saved it because I said, I don't know. I may need to use it at some point. But at that meeting, there was a platform, a laid out set of instructions on how to achieve your goal through repetition, deception. I'm going to say it was like a 10 or 12 point process. It was almost like lie till it's true, right? I mean, things like that. And so when I think about that document,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about some of the books that have been written, which I'll send you the name of that, about one of the ones is How Hitler Destroyed Democracy in 53 Days.
Mm-hmm.
It's a playbook, and they are following the playbook.
Did you happen to see The Apprentice, the movie?
No.
You should watch that movie. it shows how Trump became Trump, and Richard saw it. You saw it as well. The thing is, it shows how he was influenced by the guy, the Shapiro. Was it? Is that who it was?
Roy Cohn.
Roy Cohn. That's it. Roy Cohn showed how he was, what Roy Cohn told him, and now what he says all the time. He started off as kind of a simple son of, these people. And it showed, and it at the beginning of it, I almost started feeling sympathy for him until we got toward the end, and it showed how evil he had become.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's really good. It will show you the progress of how he became who he is. And
Yeah.
I don't know why that movie was not more widely. I think it was up for some kind of an award, but I don't know if it won.
No.
But it was. I mean, I know the whole thing is. Do I want to watch a movie about Trump? I think in this case you do.
I'll think about it because that came out. I was like, oh my God.
It's definitely, it's very, it will give you an education on Donald Trump.
I'm sure I don't disagree with that, but I guess the question in my mind is, do I want to know more about Donald Trump?
Yeah. Well, I think it helped me understand where he's coming from, and it helped me know how evil he is.
Yeah. Well, and there's some dark horses that we're not talking about that are really driving.
Oh, yeah.
Driving the
Yeah,
chains.
yeah. Yeah.
We talk about Steve Miller, but we also have Peter Thiel. In fact, Peter Thiel is probably one of the most dangerous people in the world, and Platineer, because he's in charge of the technology and the data and the access. And there's this other guy, Carl. I want to say Vise, but I'm not going to say it because if I get it wrong, I'll never get it right. But he's another one of these rich guys, very behind the scenes. We don't hear his name, but he is the one who plucked J.D. Vance up and paid for his whole way to be Senate because they're setting him up in case, Trump.
Yeah. Yeah,
Doesn't-
he's definitely a
Yeah.
pawn.
Yep. So I'll send that name too because there have been two, believe it or not, on TikTok. And you know what? I'm not a TikTok fan, but it's become a political channel in many ways. And there have been a couple voices on there who have exposed these different types of individuals and their influence over our information access, what we learn, what we are able to find out, and their ideal in terms of this is what we need to do to the people in order for us to be in charge.
Wow. Yeah.
And now that technology is really it's available. I mean, what wasn't available in 1960, what wasn't available in 1980.
There's just too much deep fake stuff now.
Yeah. And these two guys, Teal and Carl, outpace the Facebook and one of them. In fact, Elon Musk is kind of a protege of one of them because he was a partner in helping Elon Musk establish PayPal because that's his Road to Riches project. So I had to look it up because I see the name. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't want to give it without the name of the company. So maybe another time we can talk about it.
Well, you had mentioned, and I know we've got like 11 minutes left. You had mentioned you wanted to talk about we're talking about politics now, so maybe it's a good time to bring up this president's thing.
Yeah. So, if I'm in a toss and turn mode, not sleeping well, I'll go online and I'll surf, and then I just do a posting blast, right?
Yeah.
And that I just sort of scroll through reels, and one of the reels was an interview with Prince and Tavis Smiley. And I don't know what the beginning of it was, but I stopped at Prince because, one, he's gorgeous, and he's dressed beautiful, very talented, very articulate. And he said, Tavis Smiley must have asked him about information and what people want, because, he changed his name to Symbol because he was disengaging from establishment.
Right.
He said, when I learned that there were 8 other presidents before George Washington, I wanted to slap somebody. That was his statement, right? But I blinked because I said,
What, yeah.
8 presidents before George Washington? What is he talking about? So, you got a library in your pocket now.
Right.
I went on, and it turns out that the actual first president is a man by the name of John Hanson. And there are 8 of these guys, and they're calling each of America's first presidents. So we had John Hanson first, Elias Boudinot next, Thomas Mifflin, Richard Henry Lee, John Hancock, Nathaniel Gorham, Arthur St. Clair, Cyrus Griffin. Okay, and this is from a website, Constitutional Facts. And it was like, well, wait a minute. What's up with the George Washington thing? Well, until the Constitution itself was ratified and they had an electoral college, the electoral college then is the one, even though these guys had been in the Confederate Congress and the Constitutional Congress.
Okay.
That
was my question. I wanted to know if it was prior to the Revolutionary War. It was after during the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
So, okay, so when they were asserting their independence.
Yes.
See, I never learned that in high school.
No. Why didn't they tell us that? So there was another question. It says, why is George Washington considered the first president? And it says George Washington is considered the first president of the United States because he was unanimously elected by the Electoral College in 1789 and again in 1792. And he played a crucial role in shaping the office of the presidency and the powers of the presidents during his 2 terms, setting precedents that continue today. So, in other words, after they did everything, but in the meantime, other people were running the republic.
Yeah, because he was at war.
Yes.
He was a general.
Yes.
Not the best general, but he was a general.
No, because they wanted to get rid of him, and he went back. That's how he almost killed everybody crossing the Delaware. But that's that propaganda, right? Historical propaganda. Because I grew up on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean in the UK, and I trust me, the British to this very day have a real different opinion on how all that happened. Okay? It's not, they still reference the, oftentimes depending on, the satire of the conversation, they'll say the colonies. They're imperialist to the...
There's a T-shirt you can buy in England that people wear on the 4th of July that says, "Dear Americans, today's the day you celebrate being traitors."
Okay. Okay. Right. So, there's a lot to our history. It's very, it's contained, it's controlled, and it's contrived to build citizens, right?
Yeah.
They want American citizens and to believe, that the people who came were so fabulous and pretty much like they're doing now, trying to erase people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just in America. It's like, no. I just finished, oh God forbid, I just finished Herodotus, their histories. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me why I read it. It was so
I'm like,
hard.
What's up with that?
Yeah. What is up with that? You know what it is? All the ancient history I read always references Herodotus. There's a couple other ones too, but mostly Herodotus. So
I have to remember that you're an anthropology person.
Yeah, I had to read it just to do it, to prove I could. So, and they talk about how he was, his ideas were skewed toward the Greeks. Yeah. You can't. He was a Greek, and he believed that the Greeks were in the right, and so anything he wrote about Persia, you got to take with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's just, the way it's always been with history. It's written by the victors.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the African proverb, right? Until the lion learns how to write, the hunter will always be the
Yeah, that's good. I never heard that one
Yeah.
before, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have 5 minutes left. Do you have anything you wanted to cover in that 5 minutes?
Delta Airlines.
Delta Airlines. Oh, what happened with Delta Airlines now?
Delta Airlines made an announcement to the press last week saying, we have discovered a way that we can help save money to people who fly Delta. We are hiring an artificial intelligence company to do a comprehensive survey. What are the busiest times to fly? What are the times when we don't fill up our airplanes? And so when you go online and you say, I want a ticket to Chicago, Delta will say, it's this much money if you go on a Friday at 5 o'clock, but it's this much money if you wait till Saturday morning. And they give you a whole list of options. They say this will save our people money.
Yeah.
But then people looked into it. All right? Here's what's happening. The AI company, as soon as you put your name in, I'm looking for a flight, it gives Delta a profile. This is where you work. This is what you do for a living. This is probably how much money you make. And this is probably how badly you need to go on this flight. So technically, a plumber and a Silicon Valley executive could take a flight on Delta, and they could lean over and say, I got this ticket for $800. And the plumber would say, I only paid $400.
So they're profiling the
They're
people
and they're
those greedy little bastards.
and AI is guessing how bad do you want it and what are you willing to pay for it. And
How manipulative.
critics are saying that this is the new trend in sales.
Wow.
Well, let's think about the Priceline commercials and the Expedia.coms, right? The guys are at the breakfast table, and one guy says, "Oh, I got this for this room night for $195," and the other guy says, "What? I paid $210." So there's this sort of pricing thing that's already flying around out here. So they're just trying to take even more advantage of it. Amtrak does it. When you look at, because when I travel sometimes, because I'm insecure about airlines these days, on a train.
Me too.
Right. It'll say, if you fly here, if you ride at this day, at this time, these are your options. If you want express, it's going to be this. If you want to fly, ride all night, it's going to be that. If you leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be this. If you leave at 11 o'clock at night, it's going to be that. So you get this whole, schedule. So this idea, now whether or not you've added something that I did not know, whether they do it or not, is that they take this complex photo of you. That to me is dangerous.
I think so too. I think it's unfair because you can make a decision on how wealthy or unwealthy somebody is, but you don't know the circumstances of their life.
Right.
I mean, the guy that makes $200,000 a year, he might have, his wife might have cancer, and they're struggling. But the guy who makes $57,000 a year, he doesn't have any kids. He hasn't bought a new suit in 42 years. I mean that
circumstances very different.
Their expendable income is different.
Yeah.
And so it's not equitable, certainly, and it is scary. I agree with that.
Yeah, because I think it's the pathway to something else. When I read about the Peter Thiel things, which I'll send to you, and this Carl guy. It's a pathway to something else, and that's the really more concerning thing. I mean, when you hear somebody publicly state, since it's public, I can say it. Stephen Miller made a comment that he would like to see the United States of America only have 100 million people. Really? Okay.
He doesn't say what he intends to do with the 265 million.
Oh no, he's gonna put them in El Salvador. That's
Well,
pretty obvious.
I mean, he's shipping these folks off to places to countries that are not even their country of origin.
right. Well, this is it. So thank you for
Yes.
attending the first. Whoever holds the stone, even though we didn't use the stone physically, we had.
It went from an object to a symbol.
Exactly.
Yay.
Thank you.